Okay, next we're going to go through the actual steps for conducting a raid. So step one, along with any mission you get, is going to be your planning. I'm not going to go over planning again. Again, essentially, so it's your TLPs. The most important part of the TLPs being obviously that mission analysis, do TMT set, then developing your course of action, and then continuing on down with those TLPs until you have that completed operations order, which you will then pitch, and then you'll be ready to go into your execution phase. So we're going into the execution phase right now. So first way you can kind of break this down is how you can maybe break down your operation into phases. So for our purposes, we broke into 5 phases. So the first phase is going to be that approach the objective. So using your good TMT set, good terrain analysis, you're going to figure out the best way to get to that objective. Maybe even employing fires or some other control measures along the way. Key steps for this, the approach to the objective, is securing that the ORP, which would be back here, and then conducting that leader's recon on the objective. So that's essentially completes your approach to the objective. This also is not meant to be all-encompassing, but to give you just kind of an overview of a framework of how you would conduct this raid. So step 2, you're going to isolate the objective. So that just means you've done your leader's recon already, so now you're going to go and start placing your elements. So the best way to do that is you want to send out your security elements first. So you may have a release point, or you can maybe just use it from your ORP. So basically at this point you're going to send out your different security elements, something near, far, and something to the rear. So I'm going to put a 1 next to all these guys because those are the ones who are going to be going out first. Next you want to put in your support. So your support is going to go in place. Number 2, because that's the second thing. This is important for when we eventually withdraw. And then eventually you're going to send your assault guys. So those are going to be 3. So pretty self-explanatory. Security, assault, and then, security, support, and then your assault. So now I'm going to combine the next 3 phases essentially with this one drawing. So I'll bring you in a little bit closer here. Okay, good enough. So set conditions for the assault. Basically, if you want to use kind of a more vernacular way of putting it, basically you're going to kind of soften up that enemy element before the assault moves through. As you guys have noticed, I have put in an obstacle. You never know when you may have to conduct some sort of breaching operation. So I'm not going to go through a full SOSTRA here. This is just to illustrate some of the things that the support can do. So 1, you can, if you have any kind of indirect asset, you can drop that target on the enemy position, keep them suppressed. You can also, they can do perhaps a spoke target here, some obscuration. You want the obscuration to be between the enemy and the obstacle. At that point, the platoon leader will at this point probably designate different TRPs, so they can begin engaging their different TRPs. The assault element at this point will move up, and they will conduct their breach. Again, this is just assuming if there is a breach. This part may not be necessary. And then maintaining communication with the supporting element as they move through. That support by fire will shift targets as appropriate until they cease fire. The assault element at this point is going to reach the designated LOA that the platoon leader has set. They will maintain some sort of security posture. At this point, the different teams we discussed earlier. So obviously your EPW and search, your aid and litter, your demolition team, and then and so forth. So at this point, the assault element has now reached their LOA. They have now concluded their actions on the objective. They consolidated enemy prisoner of war, friendly casualties, as well as the any excess material or cache that they can't take out on their own. The demo team will then blow that. At that point, the further elements of the assault element will then pull off, go back to their assault position. At that point, the assaults will then begin their retrograde back to the ORP or whatever other spot that the platoon leader has designated. So they're going to be the ones going back first, followed by the support element, and then And one other thing I forgot to mention, when you're placing the security, because that is obviously that first point from which you're splitting up the platoon. If you do a time analysis, you can send out each of those security teams one at a time and get a confirmation. Security 1, good, send out the second one. Or if you're crunch for time, you can bring them all in at the same time. Or send them out at the same time. For when you're bringing them all back in, there's no need to be probably quiet at that point, within reason. Then you can reconsolidate the platoon back at the rally point. I put objective here, but that's obviously ORP. And then at that point, you've then completed your tactical withdrawal, and your raid is complete.